You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them.
This is Massive Late Fee with Mike and Mark.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my co-host Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. And yourself?
Good. We've had a good week here at Massive Late Fee. It's been exhausting for me, but things are going well. We might have a couple more sponsors coming up soon, which is exciting. But today, I don't know what's been up with you, Mike. What have you been doing?
None. Just hanging out, playing Nintendo.
Nice. So the Parents Guide game, how we always kick this thing off. I've got your first game or your only game set up right now. So I guess I'll go in with that. In profanity, Mike.
Yes.
It says nonstop strong language.
Clerks.
No. How about irreverent jokes about sex, pedophilia, and homosexuality?
Let's see. Garfield the movie.
That's close. One more in profanity, and the other one I can't read because it absolutely just gives away the entire thing. But 154 uses of fuck, 20 uses of bitch, 72 uses of shit, and 57 uses of ass.
Idiocracy.
It's a lot of fucks. No. Now, under violence and gore, let's see if I can read any of them. Let's see. A man posing as a teen punches a teen boy hard in the face, knocking him down.
Oh, I know what this is now. This is
Fuck.
21 Jump Street.
Yeah, that's right. The other thing of profanity was the entire movie is literally centered around a drug called holy fucking shit. Yeah, I knew it was going to be tough. There were not a lot of good, just absolutely general ones with that one.
Sure. This one, I feel like I might have done this before, but the one I was going to do had so little clues, I have to do this one.
All right. Johnny Dangerously.
You know what's funny is that was literally the first one I picked, but there were so little clues, I went to a different one. Like, there's like 4 clues for Johnny Dangerously.
That's awesome.
See, several women are shown in revealing outfits that accentuate their cleavage, including several instances of storing items in their cleavage.
Huh. Several women. Let's see. Austin Powers.
No, that is not Austin Powers.
All right.
Good guess, though.
I feel that you're just pandering to me.
Yeah, kind of. actually, it's actually not far off, which won't make sense until you find out what it is.
Okay.
A man says he has his, quote, hand up her skirt, and I'm going for the unquote before he is cut off. He is talking about decrypting data.
Is it Mission Impossible?
No.
Okay.
Several men are shot inside a building by another man.
Well, I know it's not Die Hard.
German for the hard.
Right, exactly. But in a building. It's not Rampage, is it?
Oh, no.
Remember we read those? President
Rampage.
down.
A man smashes a car window with his fist.
Is it the Terminator?
No.
Okay.
A man viciously slaps a woman.
Oh, it's vicious. Not the playful sexual slapping kind. RoboCop.
That was another one I was going to pick, but then I think you did that one recently, so I decided no.
All right.
Let's see.
Decrypting data.
A man grabs a doctor as a human shield and throws a scalpel at a guard, killing him. He then breaks the doctor.
Face Off?
No.
Okay. Oh, is this Total Recall?
Nope.
Okay, fuck.
A man chases another man on foot and then on horseback with lots of gunfire occurring.
Oh, I know what it is now. It's True Lies.
That is correct.
Yeah, that's a great one. Great movie.
That is a good movie. Yep.
The horseback, that's that
Yeah, I figured that would give it away.
classic.
And he's arguing with the horse for being a bad police officer.
Yeah. So weird.
I imagine most horses are bad police officers.
Yeah, pretty much. They don't care about their oath.
I don't know if you recall last week or not when my clue was
I don't remember anything about
on
last
the
week.
second version of it. It was Hot Fuzz.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
remember we found that random, like, oh, look, there's some SNL genitalia.
yeah.
Matt came over yesterday to hang out, and I told him about that, and like literally within 2 minutes, he was trying to look up Hot Fuzz. He's like, "Oh man, it's not on Netflix anymore." He's like, really, and he somehow got to the scene, which I don't even know what scene it was. Like within like 10 minutes, he's like, "Oh, that's not a penis. That's like a fake thing in the guy's hand."
Why is he so obsessed?
I don't know. And then he's like, "Well, it could be. It's kind of a bad image." So he's still on the fence. But yeah, I don't understand the obsession. But he was on it like white on rice. Or as your cheater of a father might say, a hobo on a ham sandwich.
That's correct. Yes, that was one of his favorite phrases.
Yeah, I really like that. That really does kind of express a good deal of urgency.
A hobo and a ham sandwich. Oh, yeah. Back in his day, people were just walking around with bindles.
Yeah, they were like hobos were a real threat to something that could happen to you, I think.
Absolutely. You didn't want to get knifed by a hobo for a can of beans.
Or a ham sandwich.
No, never. But let's just do this the rest of the podcast. Just go.
Okay.
Hey, actually, I guess since this might be a good enough time to do it, my daughter and I, my very youngest Bella, she insisted, because I have my setup here, you know, what we used to record. I've got everything set up, all the microphones and everything. And one day, yesterday actually, she came up and she said, "I want to do a podcast with you, and I want to talk about my favorite show." So it's a show on Netflix called 12. So I recorded about 6 minutes with her. So I think I'll just insert that into the podcast. So this is the point where I'm going to edit in Bella's Corner.
Today's podcast will be about my favorite show.
What's your favorite show?
I don't know what it's called.
Oh, we have to discover your favorite show.
Yes.
Okay, well let's see if we can figure out what Bella's favorite show is. I guess we should introduce ourselves. My name is Mark, and with me is a special guest, Bella, who is just a lovely girl that I had a date with today. We went to McDonald's and played in the play place. Was that fun, Bella?
Yes.
So, you were saying that you like being in here because you like the fan. You're a fan of fans. You're a fan.
Yes.
What a... What did you say to me when I said you were a fan?
I said, this guy, I don't get this guy.
Oh, we can't clear that song. So there's no way we're keeping that. But, all right. I'm going to go on your Netflix. Okay.
And
I'm
find
going to
a
see.
show?
Well, I'm going to see if we can figure out what show you're talking about that is your favorite show. This kind of, it hooks into Massive Late Fee because on Massive Late Fee we talk about streaming shows and movies and streaming services like Netflix, like Hulu. So, is it
I see it. Yes, it's this.
12 Forever? The name of the show that is now your favorite show is 12 Forever.
Turn it on.
Well, we can't watch 12 Forever on a podcast.
Okay, but
My question, I suppose, is what is 12 Forever about, and what do you like about it?
well, it's this very awesome show.
Yeah.
It has like a lot of detail, and like there's this place where she goes with this little amulet
Uh-huh.
that she has. It looks like a key,
Okay.
and she like goes to that place when she has no fun, which is basically every day.
Interesting. Okay. So it looks like it was created by Julia Vickerman. Are you familiar with Julia Vickerman's work? Bella.
What does that mean?
Julia Vickerman. She's the name of the person that created the show that you like.
Oh,
Are you?
so you mean, am I familiar with the show?
Are you familiar with other things that she's done?
No, because I don't know how to read.
So, Julia Vickerman was born August 31st, 1984. So, she is quite a bit younger than me. And she is a Virgo, apparently. So are you.
I am?
You're also a Virgo, yes.
I'm watching a Virgo show. I'm a Virgo, and I'm watching a Virgo show.
So,
Wow.
she has written, let's see, Yo Gabba Gabba. She wrote an episode of that. Radlands. Never heard of it. The Powerpuff Girls.
Yes, I watched that.
She wrote several episodes of that.
I am familiar with the Powerpuff Girls.
Okay. And she also was a director on a TV series called Clarence. She directed 16 episodes of that. She's worked in the animation department of several different things. She worked on Community. She was a character designer.
I watched that show once.
What, Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yeah. I'm familiar with Yo Gabba Gabba.
Okay. She also did animation for Super, which is a very good movie starring Rainn Wilson. So yeah, she's got a good track record. And you say now, would you call this sort of a surreal show, or is it straightforward? What do you think? Is it kind of weird, is what I mean. Like, so does the show get weird, or is it basically just normal?
It's not normal. It's a cool, imaginated world.
Okay.
Kind of in her head, I think.
Uh-huh.
Like, and she draws pictures of it, so I think it's that in her head imaginating.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, that sounds good. So the voice cast, pretty talented. We've got Kelsey Abbott as Reggie.
I know. I am familiar with Reggie.
What about Wade?
Who's Wade?
I
Which
don't
one's Wade?
One of the other people.
I think it's the boy. I think I'm familiar with Wade.
Anthony Del Rio as Todd.
That is Todd. So she is him. She's
okay.
the name.
Okay.
I am familiar with Todd. That other name.
Jalen Barron as Esther.
Esther.
Pretty please.
Oh, I'm not familiar
Tater
with
tots.
the other one. I'm familiar with Esther.
What about the Butt Witch?
Familiar? She calls her that.
Yeah.
She's a monster. She's mean. She's greedy. I saw an episode last night, and she tried to cap, like Gabby.
Yeah. Yo Gabba. Yeah. Okay.
Like actually that.
Okay.
I watched a show of it last night, and she's trying to what is her name again?
Todd?
No, not Todd.
I don't know. I don't know what his
I
name
forgot.
is. Okay, the main character.
One of the main characters.
Right.
She tried to like trap her in a castle, in a huge
castle.
Yeah, like with this speller on it.
That sounds awful. But like a very entertaining show too. So, that's 12 Forever. You want to talk about anything else before we get going here?
Yes, I would like to talk about Gabba Gabba.
Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yes, I remember some parts. I just don't remember the names and stuff, you know.
Okay.
I just remember.
Well, let's save Yo Gabba Gabba for next time.
Okay.
But for now,
Actually, Scooby-Doo.
for now, this has been Bella Corner, where we talk about the stuff that Bella likes to watch, and we will see you next time. Say bye.
Bye.
And there you go. And if you want to invite any of your kids to record with you for their corners, you can do that too.
No, that's good. I'm good.
Mike doesn't feel as strongly as I do about using everyone in my life for content.
Oh, the first one, my oldest would just talk about anime, like at a 132 beats a minute as her voice. Oh my god, anime, Tiki Toby, My Hero Academia. That's what that would.
That's exactly how Ava is too. Ava's huge into anime, and she talks incredibly quickly.
Right, and then the youngest one is a psychopath, so she'd be talking about killing things and like dragons and shit for like an hour.
Maybe, but we should have her on that. That sounds very interesting.
I feel that it would be used as evidence later at a later date, so I'm not going to put that on her.
She, my daughter walked in and she said she was a fan of that she liked the fan that we have in our room, and I said
Wesley Snipes. Oh, I thought you meant the Wesley Snipes Robert De Niro movie.
Right. No, I said, oh, you're a fan of that fan. You're a fan. And then she looked at me and she goes, I don't know what to do with this guy. So I was like, all right, let's, if you want to record, let's record. You're going to give it back. We got back and forth, and let's do it. I don't know. Did you watch anything interesting this week? I watched a couple things.
I watched a show. I had seen a little bit of it before, but I wasn't really paying attention with my wife. And then yesterday, I just watched. I think the entire series, which is like six like 20-minute episodes, if that long.
Uh-huh.
It's called "I Think You Should Leave." It's with this guy named Tim Robbins, maybe Tim Robinson. I don't remember which.
Yeah.
There was a show called The Detroiters a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the stars and creators of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Tim Robinson's I Think You Should Leave, but I did watch The Detroiters, and I liked that a lot, and obviously it's close to our hearts because it's from people that live around here and made around here.
Yeah, I think my wife said he's from Clarkston. There's a lot of really funny like sketches on it. It's a sketch comedy show. I think they're like some weird length, like 15 or 17 minutes each.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched them all like in one sitting. My friend Matt, after he got his nutsack fix, he was watching it too. But he was also, I don't know what the hell he was doing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I liked a lot of the sketches. I felt that he kind of relied on just like yelling absurd things. Like that's kind of like where most of the sketches ended up, which. It's funny at first, but then every sketch is like, yeah, okay. But I mean, the premises were pretty good.
Yeah.
My favorite was like a funeral, and for some reason the regular organist wasn't available, so they got Fred Willard to show up. He was playing like a character almost like a wacky like carnival organist.
Uh-huh.
So he did all the weird like woo woo and like sounds like that.
Right.
And he'd just be playing away like all happily, and like he'd throw these plates on the ground as part of his song. It's really like just if in fact if you look at my Facebook because you're my Facebook friend, I posted it just because it's so like it's just a weird sketch. It's like really kind of hilarious. It's like abstractly not even part of reality.
I'll definitely have to check that out. That sounds interesting. I like Fred Willard a lot. Some of his
not if you're sitting in front of him in a movie theater,
right? So, that's true. Some of his then is
that a leak?
You gotta wear a poncho if you're sitting by.
It's like you're in the front row of Gallagher shows.
He carries a he redefines the term wide load.
He's like, well, I'm not smashing any fruits, but I'm busting a couple nuts.
Oh, poor Fred Willard.
Although I did have to point out, my wife and I talked about this yesterday, I'm pretty sure it was an adult theater, which in my opinion makes it way more okay.
Yeah, it was the same thing.
Like, it's like he was watching like fucking a Frozen 2 and just like, pumping off next to a bunch of kids or anything.
Oh, Anna.
I will let it go.
Oh, God. I'll let it go right all over the back of this seat. Yeah, it was the same thing with Paul Rubens. He was in an adult theater.
See, I think Paul Rubens, even at the time, and I mean, what was it, 1990? I was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought...
You thought what?
It was a pornography thing at the time, for some reason.
Yeah.
Reason later, like a normal, like, I mean, that's not my thing to go and whack off at like an adult movie theater, but I think most of the people at the adult movie theaters are whacking off.
Yeah, I don't see any other reason to go. I mean, I've never been to an adult theater, so I haven't done that
it was
either.
Like the early '90s, so they didn't have VHS and DVD and Blu-ray and all that shit. But yeah,
and the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and we got the virtual reality too. So I asked my wife. Now I haven't done this, but I asked my wife, "Hey, if I watched like pornography on the virtual reality, is that cheating?" And she says yes. She believes that it is cheating.
I don't understand that always makes no sense to me. Like, how is that cheating? It's not like you're virtual. It's just like watching a video or looking at a picture.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Now I haven't done it, so I don't know exactly what it looks like. But that's what I was thinking.
Sure, you haven't.
That's what I was thinking.
I know she listens, Mark. You don't have to convince me. I got you. You didn't watch a second of that yet. I mean, you're going through fucking Jergens lotion at your house, like a bottle a week, but no relation. It's just very dry this time of year.
It is. My skin is so dry. But
that was an odd way of saying that.
I've got a poncho in my But anyway, so she thinks that it's more because we've done we've done some of the 360 videos on YouTube and stuff like that, like gone to Paris. Well, we haven't gone, but like done Paris or Vegas or something like that. And you walk around and you look around and it really does kind of. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it kind of feels like you're there. And she was like, "Yeah, it's too much of an experience. It's like instead of just watching it, it's more of an experience." So she doesn't want me to do it. So I said, "Yeah, okay, I don't care."
You can practically hear the anti-Semitic slurs as you walk through the well-lit streets of Paris.
Exactly. Exactly. There was a couple of Muslim women wearing burqas at the beach, and they were getting escorted out.
They were being told that they had to take their driver's license without their things on.
Exactly. But yeah, so Paris. What was I talking about before we started talking about pornography? Oh, what we were watching.
Fred Willard.
Oh yeah, that's right, Fred Willard. So I used to. Now the kids at home. I'll explain who Fred Willard is. There used to be a show on television. Let me explain what television. No, called Fernwood Tonight, and it starred what's his name? Martin Mull.
Martin Mull.
Yeah, Martin Mull, and Fred Willard was like his sidekick. It was a fake talk show basically. And Fred Willard was the perfect dumb guy. Like he is the perfect. Now he obviously doesn't have a ton of range because he rarely plays against that type, but he's the perfect idiot for any kind of comedy thing.
Which Norm Macdonald would claim is the bright thing to do because I don't know if you've heard him say Letterman's a genius because he plays like the dumb guy because no one wants to see the smart guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Martin Mull, I don't think Martin Mull could play an idiot. He's like just like a genius on so many levels. Like he's like a brilliant painter. He's a brilliant musician.
Yep.
He's I'm not a big fan of his comedy style, but a lot of people just love it.
And he's a good actor. I mean, just like
he's
separate
a
from the
actor.
comedy, he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, it's like his comedy is really not my style that I like, but yeah, I can appreciate his accomplishments.
Yeah, he's definitely, and Fernwood Tonight is, and that's the thing is, I haven't seen it in years and years, but if I watch it now, I might not find it as funny because his comedy style is definitely like mid to late 70s comedy style.
He's like, yeah, Nixon. He gets a 5-minute standing ovation.
Ooh, what a burn. Pardon me. What are you, Gerald Ford?
Laugh track goes off.
Yeah.
I was thinking we should do a retrospective on the Kids in the Hall because I've been thinking about the Kids in the Hall a lot lately.
Absolutely. I'm definitely down for that. I love the Kids in the Hall.
And I think it'd be funny to unfortunately none of them are touring by here, but it'd be great if Bruce was coming into town for some reason. And you showed up at the show all decked out in Detroit gear, and you could claim you're the Detroit Kid here to take his crown.
That would be awesome.
There's so many. I love all their sketches are great. I mean, yeah, they have a few reoccurring characters, which I don't particularly like for the most part. Like Cabbage Head, I never cared for him.
Yep.
Gavin was kind of okay, but I mean, I got really the I'm pinching you guy that wore off very quickly for me.
Yeah, the chicken lady.
Really, it seems like Mark did a lot of the recurring characters, and I just didn't care for a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Like Hecubus and Simon, those two were pretty funny.
Yeah, they didn't seem to appear too often. What about the ladies that work at the office? I can't remember their names.
What is it? They're all Kathy's, right?
Yeah, that's right, Kathy's. Yeah.
I also the Helens, but that's a different sketch entirely. Yeah, they're okay. I'm not a huge fan of them. Really, the only recurring character I really, really like is Buddy Cole because he's just like Scott Thompson is just hilarious in that character every time he does it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was touring around, but he didn't come here, unfortunately.
No, unlike Fred Willard, he didn't come at a theater in Detroit.
Well, I guess someone in front of him was complaining their day. Oh, I thought this was dinner and a movie. Like, oh, well, here's some liquids for the drink. You don't find that in a movie meal.
No, not at all. Although I tell you, it would make the popcorn more salty, probably.
Yeah, probably, as the late Mike Duchesne would say.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, this is just for us. No, none of you guys know what we're talking about or don't care or whatever. I saw that he died. Do you know what happened?
I thought it said a long disease. I didn't,
Yeah.
I lost track of friendship with him a while ago, so I didn't really inquire into his father.
I mean, I can speculate what a long disease means.
I mean, yeah, it could be a lot of things, really. But yeah, like I said, I kind of fell out of touch with him after high school, so I hadn't talked to him.
I mean, I would assume, now this, I could be wrong, I don't know, but I would assume that, let's say it was cancer, that they would say after a long battle with cancer. That's pretty normal.
I don't know. I mean, it depends, really. I mean, some people are more private than others, so
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's sad, though.
Yeah, sad.
I mean, obviously, it's a guy our age, somebody we knew. I have fond memories of hanging out with Mike Duchesne.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was pretty close friends with him for a brief period, but yeah, we just kind of, didn't keep track of each other after high school. We saw him once at Oakland University. Remember we were going there, and he was walking out.
Yep, I remember.
I think that's the last I saw him.
One of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, I remember you saying he would buy a chess game and then be able to beat it within a couple days or something like that.
Oh yeah. Whenever I played chess with him, he was just toying with me. It's like, I know you could checkmate me whenever you wanted to. Because he would, we'd play in class, and he would he'd let the game last for as long as the class was, then right before it was the end of class, he'd checkmate me. It's like, yeah, you definitely are a lot better at this than I am.
Now, speaking of minds, have you been watching the Jeopardy Greatest of All Time tournament?
Yes, I have. I've been loving it.
I'm a big fan of Jeopardy. I only really caught the third one though, because we were recording one of the nights before, I think, and then another day I was doing something else. Yeah, I'm very surprised that Brad's not doing a lot better.
I
don't know how
know.
you feel about that, but he's never lost to a human being before. He lost to Deep Blue, which everybody did, but
Yep.
it's just I don't know what it is. I mean, I know like James Holzhauser's like his technique is a lot less conventional than the other players, which it's actually really smart. I think that Arthur Chu guy did kind of the same thing where he'd kind of hunt around for the daily doubles, which I mean it really makes sense from like a game theory perspective.
Yep. Yeah.
And it really makes no sense to go down from 100 to 500. There's no logic to it.
Yeah, for those that aren't aware, I'm sure you guys have heard of James Holzhauer, but his strategy, which he's explained several different times at this point, is he would start with the highest value clues and, like Mike said, hunt for the daily doubles, so that when he got to one of the daily doubles and he'd accumulated all this money from the high value clues, he'd have a lot more to bet. And then almost, not always, but a lot of times, usually at least once an episode when he was on, he would bet everything on a daily double. And, he rarely got daily doubles wrong. He rarely got Final Jeopardy wrong. So he was able to wager huge sums. And he because he's a professional gambler, he's familiar with what do they call it? It's the loss, that's heartbreak. It's like
he's not as risk averse as the average person is, for sure.
Basically, there's a theory in gambling that people are more afraid to take a risk and lose a certain amount if they have, like an equal risk of gaining that amount, the same amount.
Yeah, I can't remember, like you said, I can't remember what it's called, but there's actually a really good book called Thinking Fast and Slow by the Nobel Economics Prize winner Daniel Kahneman.
Yep.
And it was also, the work of his late partner, Amos, I cannot remember his last name, Tolstoy, something with a T.
Yeah, Tolstoy.
They actually did quite a few. Yeah, I think he says that people, people take losses twice as badly. They get twice as much, they feel bad twice as much as they feel good from like a win of half the value.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's trained that out of himself. And also he switches categories a lot, which discombobulates people because, people are trained
Get into a rhythm.
Yeah. People are trained to think on a certain track. And then if you're constantly, going back and forth, and I heard that one of the ways that he trained was by reading books aimed at children. Like he said, it was a fast way to gain different like bits of trivia and stuff like that.
Facts.
Yeah,
my youngest, she loves these books they're called Weird But True, put up by National Geographic. It's all like facts. She'll just like read right through them, and she memorizes them. When I was younger, I would read the encyclopedia a lot, like just for like the random facts and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, me too. But he would go back and forth. He'd have like 10 books, right? In different categories. And he would go back and forth reading them, over the course of a couple hours or whatever. And that trained his brain to quickly jump from one subject to another real fast.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I feel that I'm pretty decent at home at Jeopardy, but I think I really have a big advantage because I read very quickly. So I often have read the clue long before he's even halfway through it. So I think if I was ever like playing Jeopardy live, there's no way I'd be able to read the clue because I need glasses as it is. So I mean, I don't think I'd be especially fast in an actual game, but like when I could read the clue, I could I could read it in like a second.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't sell you short, Mike, because I've played. I've been in the room with you playing Jeopardy before, like watching Jeopardy, and you're like light. I am not nearly as quick as you. You are like lightning fast.
Well, yeah, like I said, I think it's because I read the clues so quickly, though.
Yeah.
And I noticed too in the greatest of all time tournament. Oh my God, the questions were like a magnitude or two higher than like the average Jeopardy question. They were much more complicated and difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like each question, like the $200 questions, like were basically at the normal like $500 to $1,000 level. That's like how much more difficult.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. But to answer your question about Brad, because I've talked about this with my wife and everything, and we've I've thought about it and stuff. I think that it just because he's used to going up against Ken, so it used to be that it'd be him and Ken. And I mean, no offense to like Buzzy Cohen or Austin Rogers or some of these very good champions from the past, but besides when they played against Watson, the IBM computer, like you said. when it was Brad and Ken and whoever the third person was, it was very clear that Brad and Ken were the two best, and the other person was, not quite as fast on the buzzer,
Right.
not quite as knowledgeable as them. And I think it was easier for Brad to just be like, I'm basically one-on-one against Ken. I think it changes the game a lot to have three players that are all super fast and all super knowledgeable, on the buzzer and everything. And I think that's, the problem that he's kind of running into. But I'm kind of pulling for Ken, especially because like Ken, they did this little thing for each one of them where they kind of highlighted them and everything. And Ken was like, I really want to win one of these things. He's like, I've come in second so many times. I really want to win one. And it's like, he was the first kind of like really famous Jeopardy player. And, he seems like a really nice guy and a really good guy and everything. And I'm really kind of pulling for him, but I want Brad to win at least one match.
Yeah, I like Brad. I'm indifferent. I mean, I kind of feel that Ken's smarmy, which I know a lot of people say, but James really has the same thing. He just seems, James is like a machine. He rarely gets a question wrong. Like, I was surprised that Ken won, two games just because James is so good.
Well, like Brad pointed out in the one game, Brad found, I think, all three of the daily doubles in one of the matches. And or one of the games, and he starts to get it. He goes, "You're welcome."
Right?
Because it really did help him out.
The interaction is really funny between the players.
Yeah, they all seem like they really, especially Ken and Brad, really seem like they're genuine friends, which is cool. And yeah, I think it's a fun thing to watch for sure.
Yeah, Ken, it's nice to see, I'm glad that a lot of people are watching it and excited about it too, because rather than your normal dumb shit that's on TV, it's nice to see people who are, good at, not that, trivia is the highest form of
intelligence,
yeah.
Right.
But it's nice to see that people are watching something like that rather than I don't know, a football game where people are just smashing each other's heads in the whole time, which reminds me I'm missing the Ravens game, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I like you. I enjoy sports too. I think both are fine, but yeah, it's nice when people are kind of elevating knowing things. In today's day and age, it seems like so often people are either they're talking against science and like, oh, what do scientists know? Or oh, those cultural elites or whatever. It seems a lot of times like people are talking against intelligence a lot. So it's nice when there's, a forum of intelligence that's actually being uplifted and looked up to.
Yeah, there's a H.L. Mencken quote. I can't remember what it is exactly, which obviously proves the opposite of what we just said. Mm-hmm. But it's the average man wants to seek out the intelligent and then destroy them or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it makes us feel inferior. It makes us feel weak and not as good.
Yeah, it's like my wife and I were talking about this earlier, how supposedly we're an intelligent species, but really it's there's quite a few intelligent individuals, but the species as a whole is still just pointing the plane's nose directly at the ground and then hitting the accelerator.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Like you said, individuals can be intelligent. I think people as a whole are dumb.
Yeah, and if you put intelligent ones together, they become dumb. It's just the more people there are, the dumber they are.
Yeah, that's the it's just I don't know if that says something about the way that animals interact. Because we're just animals. That animals interact with each other, herd mentality and things like that, or exactly why it is. But yeah, it seems like it's very difficult to. Human beings have done some remarkable things. They've done some horrible things, as well. But yeah, it seems for the most part.
Also at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It seems for the most part.
The same types of people who.
I was just going to say, it seems for the most part that it's difficult for us to overcome our baser, just animalistic nature.
Because you have people who invented the atomic bomb, were able to come together for that, and very quickly take what was just a theory at the time proposed by Einstein.
Yep.
It's not true. I think Einstein warned us that the Germans were going to be doing.
Yeah.
But then within like what, maybe 2 or 3 years from starting the Manhattan Project, we had like, okay, here's an atomic.
Yeah, I know, it's insane. They were able to do it so quickly.
Imagine if we could bear down that much, like, intelligence, like, on all these issues. I mean, and then some of the same people work in the space program, which again, in what, a 10-year period, we're like, okay, we're on the moon now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A species that had, like about 50 years or like around 60 years prior had just learned how to fly an airplane, was able to, leave the Earth and land on the moon. It's insane.
Right. And the same, same thing with computers. I mean, back like in World War II, they used the Bombay system to try and decode all these, messages. Alan Turing was a big, part, obviously, of being able to decode all these German, transmissions via the Enigma. And now, like, I could literally download the Enigma onto my phone in like 2 seconds. Like, they have the exact same cipher. It's just like, the knowledge is so commonplace now. It's just. And your average, my Chromebook, which is kind of a piece of shit, is, I mean, if they'd had this kind of computing power for the, Apollo 11 mission, it would have taken like, an hour to do all the math.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I wonder if that's part of the reason why people, I mean, obviously the stuff that we pointed out where, it makes them feel inferior and everything, but I wonder if that's also part of the reason why people either don't care about intelligence or kind of denigrate intelligence at this point, because it's just like, hey, if I want to know something, I can look it up. I have it I don't have to actually think. I can just, as long as I can search something on a computer, that's all I need to do.
Which, hey, I mean, I love information myself. I'll look up stuff all day if you let me. But I mean, at the same time, it's not, just because somebody else has figured shit out doesn't mean you shouldn't try and contribute something. I mean, you don't want to be a fucking Scandinavian just, living like a leech off of everybody else's accomplishments.
Exactly.
While, adding nothing of your own.
Exactly. Fucking, what if they added loot fish? Ugh.
Those giant dogs that die in 5 years. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, if I'm ever trapped in the snow, you can send me one with whiskey in a barrel around its fucking neck. Thanks.
I think those are Saint Bernards, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, Saint Bernards are fine. What the Malamute or something like that?
The Great Danes.
Oh yeah, Great Danes. Yeah, I guess
I think if you want a dog for a little bit, get a Great Dane.
If you want a dog but you're afraid of commitment.
If you want a dog, but not next decade, get a Great Dane.
That should be the tagline for Great Danes. If you want a dog for a little bit, try a Great Dane.
It won't outlive your goldfish. Great Danes.
Want to see your children cry? Get a Great Dane.
Make sure you find a one that's a solid color so you can easily replace it and trick your kids.
Oh man, Great Danes. I'll tell you, one time I was driving back.
They're not that great.
Yeah, I was driving back from Las Vegas, and the car broke down in the middle of nowhere, basically. And the only garage was like an actual barnyard garage. This dude working out of his barn, and he had 4 Great Danes, and I didn't realize, but. You know how, like, a dog...
Is this a Norm Macdonald joke you're setting up?
No. It's not. This actually happened. I didn't realize this, but you know how, like, a dog will come up to you sometimes, you'll pet a dog, and then it will kind of put its paw on your arm, like, because it wants you to keep petting it. I didn't realize all dogs, regardless of size, do this. Like, all dogs are they're very similar. So, like, I was petting this one Great Dane, and it put up this fucking enormous paw and just literally raked my hand back to its head. Like, no, keep petting. And it had the strength to actually move me.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, I was in there for about 3 hours with those fucking Great Danes while they fixed the car.
Jeez. I thought you were going to tell another hilarious tale of a trip to or from Las Vegas, but I think that's actually Ben's story. about when he got pulled over.
Oh God, that's awesome. Yeah, Ben will never be on the show, so let's tell it.
Yeah, why don't you tell that one? You know that one pretty well.
Yeah, well, they were called. They called me on the road, like right before it happened, and then right after it happened. So, Fred, one of our friends, and Ben were driving to Las Vegas. Basically, Ben had, or no, I think they were driving to Michigan from Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, Fred had gotten married, and he bought his fiance, or he bought his new wife, a car for a wedding present. And Fred had flown out there, and he picked up the car in Las Vegas and said, "Hey, he planned it out to where he could buy it at a place in Vegas, fly out there, and then drive it back with Ben, so Ben could visit us." And he's like, "Hey, we'll drive back." So they're driving back. I think they were in Iowa. I want to say. And they got pulled over. I think it was red, I believe, a red Jetta or something like that.
I'm not sure.
Very specific, like female style car. So they got pulled over by a police officer, and the police officer, said, "Hey, let me see your license and registration." They asked for Ben's license, and they're looking through everything. And the cops, Fred's like, "Is there something wrong? Did we do something wrong?" And he said, "This car matches the description of a known child abductor."
Which is not something you ever want to hear.
No, that's been in the area. And he's like, "Do you mind if I search the car?" And Fred's like, "No, go ahead." And he's like, "Okay, thanks, sir." And he seemed to have this like really horrible problem with Ben for some reason. He opens the trunk, and he picks up one of the suitcases, and he says, "Whose is this?" And Fred would go, "That's mine." He's like, "Okay." And he sets it aside, and he picks up another suitcase and says, "Who's this?" And Ben says, "It's mine." And he just fucking tore through it like a wild animal.
like he suspects him specifically.
So after being there for about 45 minutes and finding nothing, the guy gives Fred his license back yet. And he looks at Ben's license. He's like, "And this is your license, right? It's not expired or anything." And he goes, "Yeah, that's mine." And he just kind of, as Ben says, he just kind of shrugged, looked disappointed, and said, "All right, you're free to go, I guess." But they, apparently the guy had been in Illinois, and then they suspected that he fled to Iowa or something like that. And Ben always says this is one of the funniest jokes you've ever said, Mike. When Mike heard this story, you said something like, "Gotta get those Land of Lincoln kids," or something like that. He favored Illinois or something like that. The cop said, and you were like, "That's so weird." Oh, nothing beats those Land of Lincoln kids.
Yeah, I don't recall this at all.
Hilarious. So Ben still talks about that. But yeah, the one thing that I've watched this week has been a show called You. It has the same problem as the movie called It and the movie called Them.
Oh no.
And no, The Thing, I guess, is okay. Have you seen The Thing?
What thing? I like The Thing.
But just the poorly named. But You basically is about this dude that has a problem stalking women. So what he does is I don't know exactly how this is going to go. It looks like each season is going to be a different girl. But he, in the first season, because the second season just premiered, in the first season, this girl named Beck, he stalks her. Eventually ends up entwining himself in her life, becomes her boyfriend, all this stuff. And then, I won't spoil it for everyone, but things happen, that relationship doesn't work out in the end. And now he's moved, someone from his past has come back, and now he's moved to Los Angeles, and he's doing the same thing with a new girl this time. So it's a very...
Can't catch a break.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a very interesting show. It sounds really formulaic and kind of like it would be stale, but it really isn't. They do a very good job. It's short for one, which is good. I believe it's 6 or 8 episodes long. And it's they do a very good job with writing it, with fleshing out the world and the ancillary characters. That's what makes it interesting, is kind of all these all these side characters and everything. But that my wife and I have been watching that a lot, and definitely enjoying that. We've also been watching Good Girls, Good Girls is like Breaking Bad, but it's 3 moms instead. And
is it meth still?
No, it's Counterfeit Money.
Oh, what's that? What's this on Netflix, Hulu?
It's actually on NBC, I believe, but we watch it on Netflix. We're like, I think, a season behind what it's actually on right now.
Okay, yeah. There's a show I want to watch on Hulu. I cannot remember the name of it. It's I've been watching. I may have mentioned this before. I've been rewatching The Shield. Yeah, and I realize that my favorite season of The Shield is season 4, so I'm probably just going to stop watching after the season, but it's so good. I mean, even if you just started watching this, you really don't. I mean, The Shield's not a show where there's a lot of exposition anyway, so it's not like, oh, well, remember back in, 2004 when we first became partners, it's not that show, which is one of its many great qualities, but I always see ads, which is odd because my wife is also watching The Shield, but she has her own profile because she watches way faster than I do, so she's like on like season 5 or 6 probably. Mm-hmm. She doesn't see these ads, but I do. It's called like Despicable or something like that. It's a show on Hulu that looks like it's about a robbery. It looks kind of interesting. I might give it a shot after I'm done with this season of The Shield.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does sound interesting.
Another thing I saw that was kind of cool is Fargo's coming. Actually, Fargo and not Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul are both coming back in February, I think.
Yeah, when Better Call Saul comes back, we'll definitely have to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm really looking for. I mean, it's. See, I don't mind if a show goes away for like over a year like that one did. I mean, it's probably. I think the first year we did the show was like after that season. They just have gone like a whole year without a show, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
And the last episode was pretty cool. It was like showed Mike finally crossing that line, to become like the killer. Where before he was a pretty morally sound guy, but he still has a code of honor and Breaking Bad. So it's he's my favorite character. I could watch Jonathan Banks play him all day. If they had a spinoff of just Mike, I'd watch that. Even if he was just watching TV the whole time.
Yeah, I think it was the smartest thing in the world from Vince Gilligan to include Mike as part of this. Like it's Better Call Saul, and obviously Saul plays a big part in it. But Mike it's almost evenly split between the two of them as far as lead characters go. And
everybody on the show is a great actor. Yeah, I love the whole show. Well, it's like a very slow pace Breaking Bad, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I enjoy it. Like Breaking Bad, even though it was like it was a very realistic show for the most part. Yeah. Even that, I mean, it obviously almost like had like a certain pace had to follow to be like more action oriented, to keep people watching it. I mean, the very last season of Breaking Bad is almost like a breakneck pace of action. It's like one long continuous action movie, like each episode,
Yeah. And this is definitely, like you said, more of a slow burn. But I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, ultimately, I honestly don't know which show I'm gonna like more. I mean, I did like El Camino quite a bit, the Breaking Bad movie, but I mean, it wasn't necessary, but it was a nice bonus. I mean, it didn't detract from the original show, which was my biggest concern about it. Right. But I mean, it just kind of finished off a storyline that you kind of knew where it was going anyways. I mean, you wouldn't suspect the fictional character was going to suddenly be pulled over and shot down by the police or anything.
That would have been a very interesting ending.
Right. But I mean, it was nice to see all the characters, including, I think, Robert Forster's last performance. I mean, he's a really good actor. I love him. And Jackie Brown, he's so great in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Max Cherry.
But yeah, so when that comes back, we'll probably do like, I guess, we'll talk about each episode as it comes out, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably a little bit of time. I mean, it's I don't know, it's weird because it's like not like I guess we could do a brief recap of it, if we get our shit together and don't just ramble on about fucking Fred Willard all.
Right. Well, I don't mind keeping the show the same as it is, but just like a quick segment towards the end or towards the middle or whatever, like, hey, what'd you think about Better Call Saul this week and stuff. We don't have to get super in depth about each episode, but definitely talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, again, I forget the title of that Charlie Kaufman movie that you were talking about. That sounds really good. I can't wait till that comes out.
I
Oh,
think it's
another.
what is it called? Something. It's a lot like the I think you should go now thing. It's something like that.
Yeah, it is like one of those weird like phrases, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny because those are just like generally bad names for TV shows. But I mean, it turned out good, and I think you should go
Yeah.
or leave. Or oh, I forgot one thing I did watch, and I really enjoyed it. Was the Mark Twain Center or the Mark Twain Award for Dave Chappelle this week? I don't know if you saw any of those, like the ceremony.
I didn't. I want to watch that though. I'm sure I'll be able to find it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube actually. Like
Okay.
they had clips there. The funniest one I thought was from Neil Brennan. I don't know. I have a mixed feeling. I do think he's funny, but I think he's not as funny as he thinks he is. I don't know how familiar you are with Neil Brennan.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Like, I mean, he's very fortunate. I mean, I'm sure even he'll admit this. I mean, he happened to be, meet Dave Chappelle at a young age because Dave Chappelle is the funniest human being alive. I think it would be hard. It'd be hard to show anybody. I mean, I like Norm Macdonald's jokes better. I like his sentiment, better. But Dave Chappelle is just like he's just like a force of nature. That's how fucking funny this guy
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah. He's clearly I think he and Norm both are just immensely like nature given, talented as far as being comedians go.
Yeah, I think Norm, and this is going to sound bad, but whatever. I think Norm isn't a very hard worker as far as his comedy goes. I think finally he's at a level where he's just comfortable. I mean, he knows he could go on a talk show and kill. He knows people will always buy tickets to his shows because of SNL and people like that he's kind of conservative. There's always a built-in audience for that. But I mean, Dave Chappelle, I mean, he's been a comedian since he was like 14, I think.
Yep.
And he actually, in his speech, he thanks his mom, and he talks about her taking him, home at 2 a.m. when he was 14 from like a set at a comedy show.
Yeah, and I agree. I totally agree with what you're saying too. I think Norm probably doesn't work that hard, which is fine. He's naturally funny the way he is. And I think Chappelle probably does work harder
I mean, he just does more stand-up time. That alone
Yeah.
is work as far as stand-up goes, and he'll just go up and improvise. He famously would, like, after his show was canceled or he left it, he would go to like San Francisco Punchline and do shows for like hours and hours at a time, like
Yeah.
6-hour sets. And
You know what one joke I think completely encapsulates what is so brilliant about Dave Chappelle, or at least one of the things that's so brilliant about Dave Chappelle, is he talks about, it's on one of the Netflix specials, I don't remember which one it is, but it's on one of the first ones that he came out with. He talks about how he's been talented ever since he can remember as far as being a stand-up comedian. He never really had to struggle.
This is a joke I was thinking of where he has the punch bowl full of like punchline.
No. That's really good too. Actually, that's a very good explanation of his process. But the joke that I was thinking of is he talks about how he did this show for like some mob guys in New York, and they paid him. I can't remember how much it was, but they gave him like 20 grand or something like that.
Yeah, some crazy amount.
And they're like, here, just take it. And he put it in his backpack, and he went on the subway, and he was like, I was never scared of riding on the subway before, and I was like terrified because I had this 20 grand in my backpack. And he's like, and I realized this was the first time that I ever had something somebody would want and someone would actually like kill me for before. And then this is the brilliance of the way that Dave Chappelle thinks and kind of how he is as a person and how he thinks about things. He goes, then I thought, what if I had a vagina all the time on me,
Right,
always?
yeah.
And it's like his ability to think about people that aren't him and aren't like him and make it funny, relate it to his own life so that he can understand it. Like, that's a big part of why I think he is hilarious.
Yeah, he's very creative, imaginative, hilarious. I mean, he's the whole package as far as comedians go. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
he's one of the rare people to. I mean, his movie career not great. I mean, Half Baked is an okay movie. It's not.
Yeah.
There's funny parts.
It's fine.
It's not a brilliant. I mean, it's you could see his you could see his jokes in there. You could see his personality. You could see he's a very charismatic person. He's funny. He plays the character. I can't remember his name. The drug dealer,
Yeah.
Mr. Happy or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's funny in it, but yeah, the movie itself is kind of meh. And to mention Norm Macdonald, he and Norm Macdonald are both in the movie Screwed, and that is not a good movie. It's just not. I mean, Danny DeVito's in it too. It's not a good. I don't understand why. It's just maybe Norm didn't help write it or something, but that's just not a very funny movie.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because, like you said, I mean, you've got Norm, you've got Dave, you've got Danny DeVito. All three of them are very funny people.
Yeah, I can't remember the woman who plays the boss. She's really funny too. She's been in a lot of other things, but yeah, it's just not a funny movie. Although Dave Chappelle is hilarious in Blue Streak, where with Martin Lawrence and Owen Wilson.
Oh yeah,
he's in there very briefly, but he's very funny.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but like I was saying, Neil Brennan. I mean, I think he's funny, but just his arrogance as to thinking he's way funnier than he is, that just kind of annoys me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he's, his part is very good though. Like, obviously he's known Dave from a very young age, and he tells some true stories about Half Baked and stuff. I mean, if you really just watch that alone, that would probably be worth it. I mean, I think the whole thing was pretty good. The different speakers and Dave's, at the very end giving his own speech. It was Aziz Ansari, Sarah Silverman, Tiffany Haddish, and Neil Brennan, I think.
Okay.
There might have been more, but I'm not really aware. But yeah, I check it out, especially if you're a Dave Chappelle fan. I mean, it's, according to the people at the Kennedy Center who give out the award, it's the highest award in comedy, which I think it kind of is. That's kind of truthful. I mean, it's the most respected award, at least. I mean, who else has gotten it? Let's see. I think, obviously, Dave Chappelle. Mm-hmm. Didn't Eddie Murphy get it last year?
I believe so, yeah. I know Steve Martin has gotten it.
Yeah, Dave Letterman. So it's not like somebody who was on like Two Guys Who Rolled a Pizza Place for like 3 episodes. It's
no.
It's very prestigious as far as the awards go. I mean, he might be the youngest person to get it. He definitely deserves it. He's he's been the funniest comedian out there since the Chappelle Show came out. I mean,
yeah.
I actually when the Chappelle Show first came out, I really didn't want to watch it because my experience with him was Half Baked. I'm like, yeah, he's not all that funny, but it was kind of hard to ignore the show. It was like an undeniable show just because it was so popular because of so many hilarious. I mean, and it's stuff that still holds up today. It's so like raw at the raw nerve and at the edge of comedy that you could watch. The Rick James sketch. You could watch Clayton Big. I mean, any of that. I mean, they're like very un-PC these days, but I mean, they weren't PC back then either. Even then, it was like controversial. I mean, there's a whole sketch where the entire family is a racial slur, and like Dave Chappelle plays like the friendly, like era appropriate milkman. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny is, so my wife did not like Dave Chappelle when I first met her. She had watched, I think, maybe an episode or two of Chappelle's Show, which was her only like exposure to him. And my wife is not big on racial humor, stuff like that. Like she hate
all those jokes you were telling me before the show. Then much of that.
Yeah, that's why I save them up for you. No, she doesn't like any jokes where she thinks somebody, like somebody's feelings might be hurt because she's
those are the only jokes I like.
I know, but she's very sweet like that. So
yeah, I understand.
When the Chappelle specials on Netflix were coming out, I watched the first one and I was like, Carol, you have to watch this. It is so fucking funny. You got to listen to it. So I don't know if it was because her humor has changed because since we've been married, she's, been exposed to my type of humor longer, or, because she's a little bit older than she was when Chappelle's Show came out, or if it's just the stand-up is just a different animal than the sketch show. But she watched the first one. She's like, you're right. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And now she's seen all of them. She loves Dave Chappelle's stand-up specials.
Yeah, I mean, she probably enjoyed the ceremony too. Then it was very funny. I mean, like I said, Neil Brennan was particularly notable, but I mean, you just watch the clips. It's not even a lot of time. I'm sure the whole ceremony was like 2 hours, I think. But I just saw like the highlights. Oh, Jon Stewart also did some materials.
Oh, okay. Yeah, comedy is subjective, so there are people that have won the Mark Twain Prize that we might not.
I would still, I'd still say, I mean, I'm not a Steve Martin fan, but I could see how he would win the award. I mean, he's, again, undeniable that he would be, awarded as one of the, country's greatest.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone who's won it has been a legend. George Carlin.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, I don't know if Richard Pryor won or not. I think he might have before he passed away.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long they've been giving it out for, to be honest with you.
But yeah, I would say it probably is because there's not. as far as comedy awards go, there's not a ton out there.
Not worth winning. They had like a comedy award show. I think it lasted 1 year, and it was like televised. It was on some weird channel too, but it was kind of neat. But yeah, it didn't really. I mean, you think Comedy Central would do something like that? For all I know, they did do that show, but whatever it was, it happened once, and like nobody I thought should win won, anyways.
I don't think you can do it like the Oscars does it or something like or the Golden Globes or whatever. As far as, at least if you're talking about stand-up comedy, I don't think you can do it every year because I think
it was all forms of comedy. It wasn't just stand-up. It was
okay.
Funniest TV show, and like I think they had podcasts and stuff too. But
yeah.
I think, and Joe Rogan mentions this quite a bit, but he's right. Comedy is much like music. You can't just say like, oh, I like music and I'm going to go see, Belle Biv DeVoe, then I'm going to go see Garth Brooks. It's like, no, you generally have a certain type you like. I mean, like you said with your wife earlier, Carol, I mean, she doesn't like the same. It's like, she doesn't like heavy metal. Doesn't mean she doesn't like music. She just likes a different genre of music.
Yep. No,
so
absolutely.
It's kind of hard to separate it because I mean, there's so many different like nuances, and a lot of comedians, have mixed styles. Like, some will use like observational humor and then like insult humor and the same thing, or like absurdist. I mean, George Carlin was all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he would talk about like the way sentences are weird. Then he'd talk about like the entire country flushing down the drain and then.
Yeah, and like especially like a lot of his early stuff, like the
hippy dippy weatherman and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. That's still one of my favorite bits that he ever does. And he like Johnny Carson was like dying laughing because for those of you that don't haven't seen it, that don't follow Mike and I our YouTube practices.
You should. We have a pretty good YouTube list, I'm sure.
Oh, I agree. But he did this thing on The Tonight Show and other places in his stand-up and everything, where he does this hippy-dippy weatherman thing where he's like, hey, man, it's going to be like, and he goes, he gets really serious at one point, and he's like, and he, like, I can't do it, but he rattles through it and sounds incredibly professional, where he's like, there's a line of thunderstorms, on the, south or 40 miles southwest of the Isobar line, and it's moving in at 14 miles per hour and all this stuff, and he goes, but there's also a squadron of Russian ICBMs on satellites, and then everyone just kind of laughs, and then he goes, so I wouldn't sweat the rain showers. And it's perfect. But, he does, like, he goes from that, and then he goes to, which kind of, like, sort of pokes fun at counterculture, and then he also is like, here's the 7 words you can't say on television.
Yeah, but he's very much a part of counterculture. I mean, he's, like, the gold standard in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So you're right, he's definitely all over the map, and but yeah, like you said, it's so... The comedy is so individualized, and that's why the Oscars don't actually show, like, award what the best film is. It's the white rich drama awards, because that's all they if you look at it, that's all they really celebrate is drama movies, because that's a lot easier to judge. A drama is a drama is a drama. That's very easy to compare and contrast with dramas, because that's not
there's like a checklist of stuff you need. Like, you need to have a British accent. You need to have, a newcomer. I mean, like, that's why, like, Shakespeare is so popular, because everyone knows in their mind what Shakespeare should be. And you can be like, oh, that guy's a great Shakespearean actor.
Yeah.
He has the right beats. He actually kind of like is kind of exploring, the different rhyme scheme and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a way to kind of.
Yeah, but like when a movie like Ex Machina, which was like a few years ago, but when that comes out and isn't nominated for anything, like Alicia Vikander was nominated that year, but she wasn't nominated for Ex Machina. She was nominated for some, like British, like, fucking drama movie that she did. I think she actually won too, but she was better in Ex Machina, and Ex Machina was a better movie, but it's a high concept science fiction movie, so they can't put that into their little formula and judge it. It's rare that Return of the King wins an Oscar. They do that to, like, okay, Peter Jackson, you've accomplished, some great stuff with the Lord of the Rings. This is to, reward you for, all your hard work on the trilogy. but that's
it's like,
rare.
It's like Denzel Washington, where he won an award for Training Day. That wasn't they're never awards for a lot of them are like apology awards. It's like, well, I'm sorry, you were amazing in Malcolm X and all these other movies. We didn't, we want to make sure you get an award. Why not give it to you when Halle Berry gets hers, so we could have kind of like a historic night. It's like obviously manufactured because he's good in Training Day, but I mean, he's not the best performer of the year in Training Day. And
right.
Much like with music, the best movies are rarely, the movies that are nominated for awards. I mean, music, it's never the best. I mean, at least, obviously very subjective, even not very subjective. I mean, like the most popular metal bands, they don't always win, like Metallica famously lost to Jethro Tull in like the very first like metal award.
Yeah.
Which kind of hilariously, the next day they were like, "Well, we're just glad Jethro Tull didn't put out an album this year."
Oh God!
And like I think like the first rap award was like Vanilla Ice. It's not like it's like finally so undeniably popular. You're like, okay, we'll have to give it to someone, but it's Vanilla Ice, so it's like,
we're not giving it to NWA.
Oh, they would never give it to NWA. I mean, not until they become like Milk Toast, like the guy who's on fucking and 22 Jump Street. Ice Cube is like a teddy bear these days. He's not like this frightening guy who's telling the truth about what's happening on the streets. He's this guy who's like, oh, he's the angry black guy. Let's put him in an angry black guy movie.
Right. Well, I mean, no offense to Ice Cube, and I guess this is probably the dream. So it's like I'm not hating on him or anything like that. But he doesn't know what it's like on the streets anymore. He used to.
No. I wonder what it is. I mean, I wonder. That's like kind of like I was thinking about this earlier today too. Like, this is a very weird idea. But I used to play this game called Vampire the Masquerade, and like in that, it's like a role playing game. Similar to like Dungeons and Dragons, but not stupid. So you play like these. There's this one category. They're called what are they called? Toreador. Like they're like these artistic vampires. But it's kind of interesting because like they'd become like vampire. People would turn them into vampires because they want like an artist, but their talents would almost always fizzle out. Because the process would like just destroy their artistic gift. It's really weird. Like you never really see any musician like sustainably make really good new product over like a long period of time.
I think you have to. I think struggle is so big of a part of it.
Yeah. I really think that's what it is. And then also when you become more famous, your, art gets more diluted because like, oh, we'll have somebody else, write the guitar part here or, we'll use like this, what they use with recordings, like a lot of reasons a lot of music sounds the same is because the way they put it onto like the tracks, they call it, it's like digitizing it or something like that, where they can like basically make it interchangeable. It's just, I mean, not that, but even before then, I mean, I guess people could definitely argue that Bob Dylan has been, pretty amazing throughout his entire career.
Yeah.
I mean, he put out an album like 2005 that was like a Grammy Award-winning album. And he is in a lot of ways like a true artist. He travels way more than he has to. He plays a different setup. He plays a different song list. He'll do different instruments. He did an entire album of Frank Sinatra covers a few years ago. I don't know if you heard about that. I heard it was really good, but I didn't listen to it because
Oh, it is very good.
And I also heard that like his voice is like pitch perfect. Like people always like have this people like Bob Dylan like whine, but that's like intentional, which I think almost like Gilbert Gottfried, like his crazy voice. That's not his real voice. That's like his whole voice that you ever hear is an act, really.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would say that's probably true. And Bob Dylan probably, he made a concerted effort to not change.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, even though he's wealthy many times over, you could probably not accuse him of being like a sellout artist.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Whereas, like, and then this is not a knock on him. Like, say for example, Billy Joel. When's the last time you heard a Billy Joel song that was like a huge hit that wasn't like I mean, probably We Didn't Start the Fire, as far as I know. I'm not a giant Billy Joel fan, but I mean, like, he at a certain point is like, okay, I have enough money. I can go live in the Hamptons. I'll be a wealthy man. I'll marry a supermodel. I'll just kind of rest on my laurels and just every so often I'll go out and play my old shit and I'll be like the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones haven't come out with like a new album since like the early '90s, as far as I know. And I mean, I don't know any of their songs before like fucking 1970.
Yeah, they haven't come out, and that's the thing is, even if they do come out with new music, they haven't come out with anything worthwhile since probably 1974, 1975, something like that.
I think they had like a kind of minor hit like in the 90s when like they were like, I can't remember what it's called, but they're all very tall in like the city, it's like a tiny city they're walking around in.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's in black and white, but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of interesting to me. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Like you just get kind of soft and you don't need like because my daughter really likes Billie Eilish, the older one, and I'm like, that's kind of it's like cool that her and like her brother are really like able to make these like songs that have caught the zeitgeist. But I mean, how long will that last for? I mean, I can't think of any of my bands. I mean, bands that I really like the band Pavement. I'd say their whole career was consistently good. I mean, not as good in some spots as others, but I mean, and then the leader of Pavement, not the leader, but the main songwriter, Stephen Malcolmus, he's released a lot of albums, and those are all good too. So it's kind of nice to find like someone who really is, talented, that you enjoy. Like even when they come up with the new stuff, it's still good. But at the same time, you wonder like, hey, what if he got way more popular than he did? I mean, would he still be the same person?
Yeah.
I mean, would he still write these songs? But at the same time, he's the kind of person that, I think their biggest single was "Cut Your Hair," which came out during the 90s. I mean, he could have been like Weezer, which is like the most frustrating example. Like,
Weezer was the one I was gonna bring up. Actually, I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, the perfect example is Weezer for this.
Yeah, their second album, Pinkerton, is probably one of my favorite albums of all time. It's so amazing.
Me too.
But I mean, it didn't sell very well, and then it really legitimately affected the lead singer / lead songwriter / guitarist Rivers Cuomo, where he's like on record saying that he was like in a massive depression just because that album wasn't more popular, which it should have. It was an amazing album. It still is. I mean, it
was critically slammed too at the time.
Which I don't understand, because
Me either.
I mean, now everyone looks at it now as like a brilliant album, but at the time, I mean, I as a fan, it was evident to me that this was like the best album I'd ever heard at that point in my life. I listened to it on repeat like for like 2 days straight when I first got it.
I liked the Blue Album a lot when it came out in '94, and I was like, this, and I mean, I was a teenager at the time, so it's not like I had the most sophisticated taste in the world. But I remember the first time that I heard the album, I was like, this is one of the best albums ever, right? I look at it now compared to Pinkerton, and it's like the Blue Album's a good album. I'm not gonna,
it's a very good album.
There are very good songs on it, but there's nothing that Weezer's ever done in their career or Rivers Cuomo's ever done in his career that comes close to how brilliant that entire album is.
Yeah, it's like from the first note to the last, it's like a trip down like high quality music lane.
Yep, exactly. And then after that we get like Islands in the Sun and fucking Hash Pipe and
yeah. I mean, the sad thing too about that, like, is I heard some bootlegs, and like the earlier version of Hash Pipe was really cool actually. But then like they had like the whoa whoa, which I really hate. That bothers me so much, and that just ruins the song. And it's way more polished and shit. And I just hate music that's overly polished. It's not really music at that point.
And now he's just doing an exact cover of Africa and stuff like that. It's like this song.
I think they released an entire cover album.
Yeah, it's indistinguishable from the, like, you haven't added anything to it.
Not at all. Not a single note. It's not different in any way.
You did a karaoke version of it.
And the only reason they did that because it was like online, like a Reddit especially, people were like obsessed with the song. Like it was like hilarious. They would always make like the joke like rains down in Africa, and then like, oh, let's jump on this bit.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, but yeah, that's mostly what I watched, what I did this week. Not a lot of new stuff, but I'm really looking forward to 1917, the movie, not the year. Hopefully, I'll be able to see that soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, and I think that'll be a good one.
I think the only movie I've seen by Sam Mendes is American Beauty. I believe he did that. I don't know what else he might have done that I've seen.
Let me think. Let me look it up. I'm not sure exactly. I know
did he do Monkey Bone?
Did he? That would be hilarious if he did.
I don't know.
Brendan Fraser's best film ever, Monkey Bone.
I would disagree with that.
Stoner loved it.
Well, what doesn't he fucking...
I know.
Like the Barbarian Brothers.
Right. I know Sam Mendes won an Oscar for American Beauty.
Yes, he should have. See, I really like that movie. It's not like... I
do too.
I mean, even in spite of what I just said about the best movies, not really making the award shows, I still stand by that. Like, some of my favorite movies are just like really weird movies. Like, there's this movie my wife introduced me to. I think I've mentioned this before. I really think you should watch this if you haven't. It's called Nowhere.
Okay.
It's by this director, Greg Araki. I'm sorry, I'm not getting the name right, but he's a very interesting director. Like, this movie Nowhere is like the most insane movie you've ever seen. The premise is like this guy like keeps thinking he sees aliens and shit, and he kind of sees them all over the place. But like his I think it's his boyfriend or a guy he wants to date is like, he's like saying they're not there, and then all this other random stuff happens. Like the amount of celebrities in this movie is insane, and they're all like pre-famous. Like Mina Savari's in it, Shannon Doherty's in it. This movie has the most fucked up scene I've ever seen in my entire life, and the reason for that is because do you remember the show Baywatch? Did you watch it ever?
I never watched it, but I do remember the show, obviously.
Right. There was like this Australian guy on there at a certain point. I don't remember his name, but he's in the movie Nowhere, and he's playing himself, and he date rapes somebody.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he's playing himself. Because they mentioned he's the guy from Baywatch. There's no doubt that he's playing himself, and then he like very aggressively like.
Oh my god, that's hilarious but fucked up.
Yeah, the whole movie is just it's like a series of like very interesting like moments pushed together. I think the guy who played Bobby Brady, the middle Brady bunch guys in there, and I think another one of them is in there as well. It's a really interesting movie. You should check.
I will definitely check that out. So here's the movies that Sam Mendes has directed: American Beauty, which was his first film apparently.
I just remembered he did a James Bond movie. I think Skyfall, which I didn't see.
Yeah, Road to Perdition.
Oh, that's a really good movie, actually.
Jarhead.
I heard that's good, but I didn't see it.
It's pretty good. I saw it. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's pretty good. Revolutionary Road.
I haven't seen that. I think I heard that was good, though.
Away We Go, which I'm not familiar with.
Nope.
Then he did Skyfall and Spectre.
So I watched the first Daniel Craig Bond movie. I thought it was okay, Casino Royale. I really like the parkour scene at the beginning with the, I can't really get the guy's name, but he is like a famous like parkour guy.
Yeah.
And then what was after that one? I can't remember what the second one was. The second Daniel Craig
Casino
one.
Royale.
Quantum of Solace, I think.
Yes. That one's not very good.
Yeah, I think I started to watch it a couple times, but I really couldn't get into it. I mean, even Casino Royale is kind of slow, I felt. Mm-hmm. But then I know Christoph Waltz is in a couple of them, which I kind of read the description, and they didn't seem all that great to me. I mean, it's like, it was like, I think I've mentioned this before. I mean, really, James Bond is just an inferior character compared to Jason Bourne in every way.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, he's a character that basically only works if you're like a sexist, like British guy writing a script in the 60s, It's like, I mean, James Bond is like very fucking rapey,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like super rapey, and he's really bad at his job.
Yeah, another thing is he has a shit gun. He has the fucking Walther PPK. It's a terrible. I mean, Ian Fleming did not know shit about guns because he's British, and what do they fucking know about guns?
Right.
So he has like this dumb, like, it's a Walther PPK. It's like, no, that's a bad gun for so many reasons, and that really annoys me as a firearm enthusiast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, he had a Sten gun.
Yeah, no shit. It's like, okay, let's have a Webley revolver while you're at it, fucking James. Whereas Jason Bourne is not only beating ass, because James Bond, I guess he fist fights, but he sucks at it. Like, Jason Bourne just fucking beats people up. Like, it's fun. I mean, they're realistic looking fights with Jason.
Well, the reason they went with Daniel Craig, I'm sure, is because they wanted to be a little more, obviously Jason Bourne influenced them a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because he's much more of like a
more physically strong guy. He's pretty imposing compared to the previous James.
Yeah, if you lined up all the James Bonds and had them like fight in an arena, Daniel Craig would just murder all of them.
I wouldn't put Sean Connery out of it, but yeah. Sean Connery in his prime was probably just like a savage of a human being.
Well, that's true. Like I think we've told the story before of it's so appropriate to both their characters. One time, Sean Connery got into a bar fight, and Michael Caine held his coat.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like makes sense. I like Michael Caine, even in like the Austin Powers movies, which are fucking terrible, by the way.
Yeah,
he's still good in those. He's fun.
Yeah, Michael Caine is I like him a lot. Very talented.
Yeah, he's a fun person to watch on screen.
But I guess that's it for today.
It's a rainy day here in Metro Detroit. Hopefully you're not getting washed out if you're listening in rain.
Yeah, but stay safe, stay dry. If you're in the South, stay safe from those fucking tornadoes that you have to deal with now.
Shit.
But tell friends. We appreciate you listening.
But it was actually pretty cold last week, so some asshole on a Facebook was probably talking about how where's your global warming now?
Here's a snowball because I don't understand the difference between weather and climate.
Great.
But anyway, so have a good week, and we will see you next time. Bye.
See you next time.